Hello everyone, good morning. Today is 14th of October and welcome to the Hindu newspaper analysis discussion. So guys, let's start with the video. In the video, we'll discuss the entire Hindu newspaper analysis. We'll see all the articles, their backgrounds and how the articles can be used in the examination, the way forward. Moreover guys, I would just like to tell you, if you are first time watching the video, that you can download the explainer PDF of the articles. This explainer PDF contains all the notes of the articles that have come into the Hindu newspaper. You can download it from the Telegram channel. Link for the Telegram channel has been given in the description box in YouTube. Moreover, you can visit Telegram and can search Thinking Palette by Sahil. In this here, in the last, we will also be taking a mains practice question also from the current affairs. Okay. Now, before starting up, first of all, let's take the overview of the entire newspaper so that we can understand that which articles are important in the today's newspaper. So the first article guys is a very important one. Supreme Court delivers a split verdict on Karnataka hijab ban. So we'll see this article because this issue was going on for so many of the days and now finally the judgment has come. Then after that, the political articles not important. India abstains on UNGA resolution against Russia. Now guys, in the United Nations General Assembly, a resolution was moved against Russia because of a referendum that was conducted by the Russia in some of the provinces of the Ukraine, and moreover the aggression that the Russia is showing on the Ukraine. Now in this particular resolution, what India has done? India has abstained. India has abstained. It means that neither India had had voted against Russia nor in the favor of the Russia, and this is not something new. From the last so many of the months, whenever the resolution are being put down, we have abstained on that particular thing. For this, USA has also often USA is also not very much happy with the India. They expect that we should support the West and we should be taking a stand against the Russia. But guys, according to India, now just one point, though not mentioned in the article, but I want to tell you that now India's foreign policy had got changed and we follow the strategic autonomy. We followed the strategic autonomy, and in the strategic autonomy we simply say this thing that we don't have any permanent friend, permanent ally. All our foreign policy decisions, interactions will be based on our national interest. Whatever will suit national interest, will do that thing. Okay. So this is an example of India's strategic autonomy. ISRO's own next gen launch vehicle may assume PSLV's role. We'll see this particular article. Then the city section, political crime related news has been given. Not important for the examination. These standards etc. are their advertisement. Please avoid that. Decoding App's ideological conundrum. Not important article for UPSC examination. It is a political article, so no need to go here. Then the Metro Plus, again not important for UPSC. Fine. Moving on, and then guys, further as we move here, we can see that the ISRO proposes dedicated satellite for supporting the agriculture sector. So we'll again see this particular article as how the space sector can help in agriculture. Then heavy downpour brings Hyderabad to its knees. So guys, basically one more incident of urban flooding can be seen. We have taken so many of the articles on the Bengaluru flooding that happened, and now the Hyderabad has seen so much of the rains. Then moving on, pilgrim rush to Char Dham creates the record. Now you don't need to go in such kind of an articles for your examination. Fine. Then moving to the editorial page. So in the editorial page, the first article, democratization of India, the Mandal way. So the article talks about the social justice initiatives that have been taken after the independence. We'll see this article. Then the next one, finding reserves and the bogey of the RBI role. So the role of the RBI in the times when for example, now the rupee has declined a lot. So what is the RBI's role in such conditions? We'll see this article. Then further moving on, split over the hijab. So this particular article also talking about the Supreme Court judgment on the hijab issue. We'll see this article. Fine. Now this particular article guys, it's talking about the basically the national games that are being hosted by the Gujarat, and the medal tally is being discussed. The medal tally is being discussed here. Okay, now guys, when we talk about the national games, okay, so national games are being hosted by the Gujarat. Okay, then moving on, does India need a population policy? So we'll see this particular article as what it is talking about. In journalism, it is better to be late than to get it wrong. So this is a notebook article where some personal accounts are given for UPSC, not important. Then text and the context page, the report on the in the Northeast Delhi riots. So guys, the report onto the Northeast Delhi riots have been published, and the article is talking about the findings of that particular report, that how some of the BJP MPs had basically made some speeches, what role that it played. Okay, and all that particular timeline and such kind of things are being provided. Now for UPSC examination you don't need to go in this particular article, fine, because guys such kind of political and all such issues are not important, and basically this particular timeline is also for exam, you don't need to go. However, if you want to read it for your own interest, you can do that. Then Interpol General Assembly meeting in Delhi, will see this particular article. The celebrity remake, how actor audience interactions have changed. So guys, this article is talking about that now the celebrities are giving the interview on the Instagrams, okay, and all those particular kind of things. So UPSC relevant substance is not there in the article, just a purely leisurely read, okay. Then moving on, hijab ban will continue in Karnataka school colleges. We'll see this particular article. Again, one more article here and this side article. All are talking about the hijab issue that has come. So all those particular articles will see there. Then, not possible to mobilize Congress without Gandhi's political article, not important. At Kazakhstan meeting, India terms Pakistan as epicenter of terrorism. Okay. So basically guys, the Minister of State for the External Affairs have provided this particular thing, that the Pakistan has always been a hotbed of terrorism and had spread terrorism, particularly in India. Okay, then moving on in this particular direction, after that Ambedkar would have disapproved family inheritance in politics. Now this particular article talks about the book Ambedkar, a life that has been published by Shashi Tharoor. Okay, then moving on. So basically there was a press conference and that thing is there. Okay, much important substance is not there in the article. Then this particular article, center to help set up paddy straw pellet units to arrest stubble burning. Very good article, fine, for examination we can use it, fine, we'll see that. MG Narega make up 80% of income loss. So a report on the role of MG Narega during the times of pandemic has been provided. We'll see this entire article. A quest for the ghost cat based on lore. We'll see this particular article also, what is being provided here. Amid zero COVID push, Beijing sees rare protest. Now guys, see this thing. When we talk about the China has a policy of the zero COVID cases. So whenever the cases come in the China, they impose a very strict lockdown. And now this is the third year when the COVID-19 cases are coming on and off. And many such lockdowns have been imposed on China. So the people are frustrated in China. Economic losses have happened there. Then many other such issues are there. Basically the ease of living is getting impacted when people are being put into the lockdown. Education is getting impacted. So there is the protests that have been there in the China. However, no need to go too much into the detail in this article. In talks with Erdogan, Putin proposes building a gas hub. Okay, now guys, understand this particular thing, that now as Russia-Ukraine war is going on, so the Western countries have imposed sanctions onto the Russia. Okay, now the Russia used to supply a lot of natural gas to the Western Europe, and there was actually a gas pipeline also between the Russia and Germany, that is the Nord Stream 1, Nord Stream 2, and many other pipelines are also there. Now as okay, is my voice audible? Fine. So guys, there was a kind of a issue that came in the connection. Fine. So because of that, we were not able to, there was kind of an issue that came. Now, let's again move. So guys, this particular article, we saw that basically the Russia-Ukraine issue is going on. Okay. And in this particular thing, now Russia is not able to export the gas to the Western Europe. So therefore, the Russia is in the search of the new partners. And here, the Russia is able to, now Russia is seeing to tie up with the Turkey here. Okay, then moving on. After that, the Infosys corporate profits, etc. have been mentioned, not very much important with respect to the examination. Food prices seen staying sticky, may keep inflation at about 7%. So in the past, we have seen this particular thing. That basically the inflations have been a really big trouble. Okay, in the quarter 3, in the quarter 2, quarter 3, the same problem had persisted. Okay, not important in UPA for the examination. Substance is not there. Okay, then again the basically the corporate issues, etc. have been provided. Okay, then we have the sports page. Okay, so that is all guys, the overview of the entire newspaper. And now let's take all the relevant articles that we have seen here in the overview one by one in the detail. Now, we take in every class the GS quotation that can be used in one of your papers. So today we'll take the quotation from the Martin Luther King Jr. Martin Luther King Jr. says that education without morals is like a ship without a compass merely wandering nowhere. Now, when we talk about a compass, compass shows you the direction. Compass shows you the direction as what is the right way and what is not the right way. In the same way, the education with the morals is the education which will be able to you, which will be equipping you to make the right judgments, okay, which will be helping you to make the moral decisions. And if education is not having the morality ingrained in that, that education is of no purpose. That education will only create the smart devils, okay. So therefore education with morals is the most important prerequisite for the complete and holistic human development, okay. And that particular thing has also been provided in the successive education policies that India has released. For example, new education policy, National Education Policy 1986, and even recently released National Education Policy 2020 has talked about the value based education, okay. The morals and ethics are very deeply ingrained as the core purpose of education. So this is something we can use it in GS paper number 4 ethics, GS paper number 4 ethics. So that is all guys about the quotation. And now let's take the first article. Now here guys we have clubbed multiple articles that had come in the Hindu newspaper today, and all the articles are talking about the one issue, that is the Supreme Court judgment on the hijab matter. So this is one article, then this is another article, this is one more article that has been there. All the articles have been clubbed in this particular direction. Now this particular article first of all will be important for GS paper number 1, as well as GS paper number 2 within the topic of social issues, as well as within the topic of secularism. This particular topic is going to be important. Now before going in this particular article as such that has come, I need to tell you some of a background, because if you don't know the background, you will not be able to understand this particular article effectively, okay. So the background, now the background goes something like this, that guys you might be knowing that article number 25 talks about the right to religion, okay. So right to practice, profess, propagate the religion, okay. Right to conscience, practice, profess, propagate has been provided in article number 25. So actually India is a secular country, and article 25 to 28 proves that particular secular nature of the Indian constitution. Though the word secularism got added explicitly after the 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act, but before that also India was a secular country, as article 25 provides the right to religion to everyone, actually article 25 to 28. Now when we talk about article 25, you can profess your religion, you can practice your religion. Now when we talk about practicing our religion, what can be allowed and what cannot be allowed? Sometimes guys there are certain practices in religion which might be a challenge on some another fundamental rights, or which might create some other kind of a problems. So what could be allowed to be practiced and what could not be allowed to be practiced, okay. That is one question that comes here. Second question that comes here is that guys, actually the fundamental rights, their nature is that they are not absolute, rather they are qualified. There can be certain reasonable restrictions that can be imposed on the fundamental rights. So what is the limit of that reasonable restriction? What restrictions can be put on the person's right to practice the religion? Is it clear? This is also one of a question. Now guys, when we talk about the religion, with respect to the religion, the limits of the religion, there is one particular doctrine of essentiality that has been perfected by the Supreme Court since 1954, okay. So there is a doctrine, doctrine of essentiality, okay. Now this doctrine of essentiality, just a minute, doctrine of essentiality. Now this doctrine of essentiality was given for the first time in 1954 in the Shirur Mutt case, okay. I have provided you this thing in the notes also. So this doctrine of essentiality was invented by a 7-judge bench of the Supreme Court in the Shirur Mutt case of 1954, okay. Now what is this doctrine of essentiality? Now the Supreme Court provided here that the religion contains the two type of things. Any religion will contain two types of things. Certain are the essential practices, okay, certain practices are essential, and certain are the non-essential practices, or the core practices and the non-core practices, okay. Now the Supreme Court provided that as far as essential practices are concerned, every person can follow that particular practice. That particular practice cannot be restricted, that particular practice will not be banned. However, non-essential practices, if those are there in the religion, there the Supreme Court has a power that Supreme Court can decide that whether these particular kind of things are to be done or whether those kind of things are not to be done. Is it clear? So non-essential practice the Supreme Court can regulate, essential practice they are free to follow, they will not be restricted. Is it clear? Now keep this particular background in your mind. I'll connect this particular background just in 2 minutes, okay. Now coming to the present matter, so basically guys, the present matter, what happened, okay, what happened actually what happened, there is at the start of this particular year, the controversy started over the wearing of hijab in the educational institution. Basically what happened, some of the women they were not allowed to enter their colleges because they have worn the hijab. And from here a question started that whether the wearing of hijab in the educational institution, schools and colleges can be allowed or it cannot be allowed. Fine. This particular matter reached to the Karnataka High Court. There were the clashes that happened, and at that point of a time, the High Court passed an interim order, said that college in the states passed a order and provided that the hijab is not the part of essential Islamic religious practice, okay, and therefore if the government wants, if the college wants, they can regulate that practice, they might not allow it, okay. So basically what has happened here, why the Karnataka High Court had said that the ban on the hijab can be made, because they said that wearing of hijab is a non-essential practice. It is a non-essential practice, and whatever is a non-essential practice, judiciary can intervene in that, and therefore Karnataka High Court said that they will not be allowed to wear the hijab. Now after this particular thing, the matter reached to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court has to provide final decision that whether they will be allowed to wear the hijab or they will not be allowed to wear the hijab. Now what happened, actually the multiple issues have come here in the between. Number one, here the petitioners have provided this particular thing that under the article number 25, the right to religion has been given, and the right to religion talks about practicing or professing the religion. Now the people have said that wearing the hijab is very much part of practicing the Islamic religion, so therefore they should be allowed. Actually the petitioners, secondly, they are saying that basically the test of essentiality should be done again. Karnataka High Court mistakenly had said that wearing a hijab is not essential practice, but it is an essential practice, is that that particular thing should be seen again. Then third issue that is coming is about the article number 19. Now article number 19 talk about the freedom of speech and expression, Now the women say that when they are wearing the hijab, it is their way of expression, and you cannot impose that this is the right way of expression or this is the wrong way of expression. How to express oneself, it is one's own individual's decision, okay, and it should not be restricted. So therefore it has been provided that under article number 19 also this particular matter needs to be seen. Then guys, fourthly, there is a one more important dimension that I am telling you, though it's not discussed in this particular article, but that was something that also come in the petition request. Article 21A. Now what article 21A is, it talks about the right to education. Many of the women had said that many of the petitioners have said this particular thing, that the women wearing the hijab are coming from the conservative families, and if they will not be allowed to wear the hijab, those families will not allow those women to attend the schools, to attend the college. So basically it has been said that wearing a hijab is a ticket to education, and simply on them, it should not be imposed. Many of the women will not be able to access the education, so therefore they should be allowed to wear hijab and they should be allowed entry into the schools. That is something that has been provided. Okay. Moreover, fifthly, this particular judgment will also test the nature of Indian secularism, the test of the nature of Indian secularism. So all these issues came in this particular petition. The petition reached the Supreme Court. Now guys, this particular case was being heard by a division bench. It was being heard by a division bench. Division bench means that there will be the two judges on that particular bench. Now the Supreme Court has given their decision. Supreme Court has given their decision. Okay. So what the Supreme Court decision has come? Now actually the two judge bench of the Supreme Court has not been able to resolve this conflict. Now the Supreme Court has given actually a split verdict. Split verdict means that both the judges have given the opposite verdicts. Okay, and it actually shows that there is how much deep division in the society on the matter of secularism and onto the matter of minorities. Is it clear or not? Now listen, this particular, just we'll see the differing dissents, differing judgments that have been given by both of the judges. Fine, judge, I'll just highlight it and I'll explain it. So here we see that what the justice, just a minute, so we'll see first of all what the Justice Hemant Gupta says. Now Justice Hemant Gupta had said that the right to express herself by wearing a hijab stops at the school gate. Freedom of expression guaranteed under Article 19, 1 subclause A does not extend to wearing the head scarf. So it has been provided that Article number 19 also is not absolute. Fine, freedom of expression can be restricted, and therefore the freedom of expression is just before you are just outside the school gate. Once you enter the school gate, you have to abide by the rules, the regulations of that particular institution. And if institution doesn't want you to allow the hijab, institution can do that particular thing. You cannot say that it is a restriction of freedom of expression. Freedom of expression ends at the gate of a college, at the gate of a school, at the gate of a university. So the Justice Hemant Gupta had provided that it can be regulated. So in a way, what the Justice Hemant Gupta has believed, according to Justice Hemant Gupta, he believed that wearing a hijab is not an essential practice, Then the next judge, that is the Justice Sudhanshu Dhulia. So according to the Justice Dhulia, he had said that wearing a hijab should simply be a matter of choice. Okay, it should be a matter of individual choice. If individual wants to wear it, let them wear. If they don't want to wear, let them not wear. The Justice Dhulia, his views are more practical. He had said this thing, that it may be the only way her conservative family will permit her to go to the school. So hijab is her ticket to education. So allow them to wear hijab. Please don't restrict that particular kind of a thing. Moreover, guys, there are the other justifications that have also been given. For example, Justice Hemant Gupta, who had said that the hijab can be regulated, had also said this particular thing, that today when we talk about the educational institutions, there is a lot of religious consciousness. And at the same time, we want to build fraternity. Now, fraternity means a sense of brotherhood. How the fraternity will come? If there will be too much of the divisions that are there. If there are too much of the divisions that are there in the society, and these divisions will be reflected when people are showing their different religious symbols, when they are showing their different such kind of attire, such as the hijab or all such kind of a thing. So for bringing the fraternity, religious consciousness is to be removed, and the religious consciousness will be removed when everybody will be same. Nobody will be allowed to wear their religious symbols. This is something that has happened. So guys, now what will happen? As it's a split judgment, now this particular matter will go to a larger bench. And that larger bench will again be listening to this particular case. So over so many of the days, we have tracked this particular case, and again nothing substantial has come out of it. Is it clear or not? Fine. And guys, I always say you this particular thing, that you are not required to track the day-to-day development of the issues. We need to see that where a matter will culminate. Okay, so now again this particular thing is going to start. Now one more critical point I want to raise here. more critical point I want to raise here is that we guys see that this matter is such a matter where the society is deeply divided. So why it was not thought that this particular matter should not be placed before a division bench or a bench having the even number of judges? If there will be the even number of judges, obviously there is a possibility that there can be a split judgment that will come. So the case should have been placed at a bench having the odd number of judges, so that particular matter could have been settled. Okay, now it is being also provided that when we see the prevailing political climate, okay, the Karnataka government had mandated a uniform code, okay, and the Karnataka government had said that it is in the interest of unity, equality, public order. But many a number of times it is being just seen as a majoritarian assertion. It is being said that what majority believes or what majority feels, that thing is being imposed on the minority. So there is a mistrust that is coming, there is a suspicion that is coming. And guys, understand this particular thing that just I think 2-3 days back I discussed a GS quotation with you where we have seen the quote given by the Albert Camus. Now Albert Camus says that democracy is not the law of the majority, rather the democracy is the protection of the minority. Okay, so what we are suggesting here, that we are not suggesting that okay this should happen. We are just saying that whatever the decision should be, this matter should be dealt in such a way where both the communities, the majorities and the minorities, their interests are accommodated peacefully, they are accommodated in a harmonious manner, because Indian brand of secularism has been such where we have accommodated all the cultures, all the religions that have been there. So that particular ethos of Indian secularism should be respected at all the cost. So that's all about this article, and now we'll move to the next article. Fine. Now moving on. The Interpol General Assembly meeting in Delhi. Okay, so this particular article has been taken from the text and the context section, and this particular article will see with respect to the GS paper number 2 international groupings. GS paper number 2 international groupings. Okay, now guys, this particular article, it talks about the Interpol. Just a minute. Fine. So basically why the Interpol is being discussed, because guys, now the General Assembly of the International Crime Police Organization, short Interpol, it is going to be held in India from the October 18 in Delhi. Now when we talk about the Interpol General Assembly has happened in the past only one time in India, that was in 1997. So in 1997 the Interpol General Assembly held in India, and now in 2022 for again the Interpol General Assembly is being held in India. So we will briefly be discussing about the Interpol, what Interpol does, okay, what are the role of the Interpol, different type of notices that many times you might be hearing into the news, red notice, blue notice, purple notice, what these notices mean, and all such kind of things we'll see here. Is it clear or not? Fine. Now let's discuss it. Okay. Fine. Now guys, when we talk about the Interpol, it stands for International Criminal Police Organization, okay, and the Interpol was established in 1923. It was established as a platform to provide the secure information to the police agencies, to the enforcement agencies around the world. Now guys, understand there is a type of crime, we call it as transnational crimes. Okay, now guys, many a number of times actually what's happening, for example, there is a kind of a criminal group, let's say this is country A, this is country B. Now there are some of the criminals, fine, who are having their particular kind of a network in both of the countries. Okay, sometimes when we see guys, many of the criminals, what they do, they commit the crime and they run to Nepal, because with the Nepal we have a kind of a very free movement of the people. Sometimes there are the porous borders between the countries, and when there are the porous borders between the countries, people commit a crime in one country and they go to another country. Sometimes their crime networks extend the multiple countries. So therefore the polices in the multiple multiple countries, for example country A and country B, should have information about the criminals activities and all such kind of a thing. So therefore we need to have an organization, we need to have a platform where the police organizations can cooperate with each other on transnational crimes, terrorism, cyber crime, organized crimes, find drug trafficking issues, all such kind of a things. So therefore the Interpol, International Criminal Police Organization, has been established in 1923. Okay, the headquarter of Interpol, the headquarter of the Interpol is in France. It is in Lyon, France. Okay, the headquarter is in France. Please keep it in your mind. Okay, now, okay, when we talk about, fine guys, when we talk about the Interpol, okay, Interpol, just a minute. Fine. Now, when we talk about the Interpol, so it is an information sharing platform which facilitates criminal investigation of the police forces across the world. Okay, it disseminates, shares the information between each other. It also keeps the tracks. It also keeps the tracks of the movements of the criminals. Okay, where there were last whereabouts were and all such kind of a things. It keeps the track about that particular thing. It maintains a state of the art database, computer analytics, big data. Okay, that particular database helps the police authorities around the world to make the pattern. Now, when we talk about this particular organization, it promotes the widest possible mutual assistance between the criminal police forces around the world. And who is the head of the Interpol? So there is a president who is the head of the Interpol, and this president, who elects him? This is very important. So president is elected by the General Assembly. So in the United Nations General Assembly, we know that there are the member countries, okay, 195, the member countries, UNGA, they will elect the president, okay, and he will be coming from one of the member nations and hold the office for the 4 years. Okay, so the president of the Interpol, will be elected by the members of the UNGA, and one of the member country will be sending their president, and the office term will be 4 years. Okay, then after the president of the Interpol, there will be the full-time secretary. Now the day-to-day activities will be seen by the full-time secretary. Okay, then the full-time secretary general is also elected by the General Assembly, and he holds the office for 5 years. So the secretary holds office for 5 years and the president holds office for 4 years. Now at the same time, General Assembly lays down the policy for execution by its secretariat. Okay, what should be the concerns on which the Interpol should be focusing, all these particular kind of a thing, fine, will be taken by that. Now basically it will be look for the case directorates, for example the cyber crimes directorates, fine, for looking in the matters of cybercrime, terrorism, drug trafficking, financial crime, environmental crime, human trafficking. Okay, all these are the directives that can be given, and who will give them? UNGA will be giving it. Now, when we talk about Interpol, guys, in the Interpol, the CBI is the one which represents the India's interest into the Interpol. Okay, now what are the different type of notices that are sent by Interpol or the member countries they can send to each other? So there are these notices that can be sent in the Interpol to each other. Number one is the red notice. Now guys, what is a red notice? Red notice can be sent by one country to another country through the Interpol. It aims to seek the location and arrest of the wanted person. Okay, extradition. If an extradition is to be done, for that thing, the red notice will be sent. For example, a person committed a crime in India, and that particular person ran to, let's say, the UAE. Now this particular person is to be extradited to the India. Now first of all, understand this particular thing. For now, extradition means to bring back that particular person. For the extradition, number one needs to be an extradition treaty between the two countries. There needs to be extradition treaty between the two countries. Only then the criminal can be sent from one country to another country. And understand this thing, because of the extradition treaty issue, many a times the criminals run to that country with which their native country is not having an extradition treaty with. Okay, so if there is an extradition treaty, then that particular country can send the red notice that please send this particular person back, please arrest that person in your country, okay, or please give us the information. So the red notice is sent when the arrest or the extradition is to be sought. Then next, there comes the blue notice. So blue notice aims to collect the additional information about the person's identity, location or activity in relation to a crime. Okay, right? Let's say we are not certain about the identity of a person. So we want to seek more information. Let's say there is a suspect. Let's say there is a suspect of the crime, and that suspect of the crime has run to another country. The case has basically still the evidences are being collected. So more information about that person can be asked through the blue notice. Then there comes the green notice. So green notice is to provide warnings and intelligence about person who have committed criminal offense and like to repeat them in the other countries. So let's say there is a kind of a serial killer in India who ran to another country. We can provide the warning that okay, this person has such a kind of a history, so you please be careful. Fine. So for that particular kind of a thing, green notice can be given. Okay, then there is Interpol UN Security Council special notice. So this is a special kind of a notice. It is issued for groups and individuals who are the targets of the UN Security Council sanction committee. Okay, basically guys, there are some of the terrorists or then there are some of the criminals, okay, on whom the sanctions have been put by the United Nations, okay, United Nations Security Council. So for them, this Interpol UN Security Council notice is sent. Then there is yellow notice. Yellow notice is to help locate missing person, minors, to help identify person who are unable to identify themselves. Now many a times we find this particular thing that the people get missing in some another country. Okay, so to identify them, to search the missing people, there for that particular information the yellow notice is sent. Then the black notice is to seek the information about unidentified bodies. Okay, so unidentified bodies. Then the orange notice, okay, it is to warn of an event, a person or an object or a process of representing a serious and imminent threat to public safety. Is it clear or not? Fine. So public safety, sometimes let's say in some XYZ country, the public safety can be threatened by some kind of a disaster or by some kind of a issue that has been there. So we can warn them in advance by sending the orange notice. And then there is a purple notice. Purple notice is to seek or provide the information on modus operandi, objects, devices and concealment methods used by criminals. Okay. So for example guys, you might have seen many of the gangs that are operating and there is a signature style as how they operate. So that information can be shared by giving the purple notice. Okay, this is the way these criminals operate, these kind of devices they use, this is the method by which they by which they evade the policing and all such kind of things. So we have this purple notice. So all these are the different type of notices. Fine. Red notice, blue notice, green notice. Oh, see, and from the past so many of the years a question is being expected onto the Interpol because many of the fugitives, many of the people had ran from India to another countries. Okay, and right after starting from Vijay Mallya, Nirav Modi, okay, and many times therefore these notices come into the news. Okay, so therefore please keep it in your mind. In the prelims also such kind of a thing can be important. Okay, so that is all guys about this particular article. Okay, and now one more additional thing we'll see, that what are the Interpol's future challenges. Is Interpol having some kind of a challenges? So basically right now the specter of the transnational cyber and organized crimes have increased a lot, particularly the cyber crimes. Now the cyber crimes are something for which a person is not able to be present physically at one place. A person from USA can perpetrate a crime in the India by the cyber methods. So the cyber crime, organized crimes, they are increasing. So therefore it requires that there should be a even more connected global response between the law enforcement agencies. Okay, up till now the Interpol has a legacy of trust and reliability. It has not worked in a biased manner. Now the Interpol is asking that their power should be enhanced. They want to get the power of sanction against a country which refuses to cooperate in implementing the red notices. Let's say India sends a red notice to USA about that a particular person who had done a crime should be extradited back. If any country or it has not repeatedly cooperated on red notice, on that country sanction should be imposed. Okay, that is the power that the Interpol wants. But guys, you see, we have seen that the Interpol, okay, the United Nations General Assembly plays a very important role in deciding what will be the mandate of Interpol. But so will this power be given to Interpol or not? Probably no. Why? Because the country's matter of sovereignty will come. Countries say this particular thing that these are our sovereign matters, okay, and therefore we will not sacrifice this particular power. Okay, so this is something which might not get implemented in the near future. Okay, so this is all guys about the Interpol and related issues that have come in the news. So I hope that you have understood all these particular issues, and now we'll move to the next article, very important article under GS paper number 2, international groupings, as we have discussed. Okay, moving on. Now guys, this is a very important article, okay, which can be used in GS paper number 3, GS paper number 3, issues of environment, fine. Now, first of all, actually guys, this is one article, and few days back, just a minute, and few days back there was one more article that came in the newspaper, fine. Just I'll show you this one. Center plans cutting coal supply to plant that don't comply on biomass co-firing. Okay, now this was an article. Now, now this article will try to connect. With this particular article, and a holistic kind of an issue will try to cover here. Fine. Now, before going in this article, I would like to tell you some of a background information that is important here, and after that we'll go to the article. So basically multiple number of times we have also discussed this article, that around the month of the October and November, the winter pollution problem becomes a very big issue in the North India. Okay, and because of this winter pollution, repeatedly the National Green Tribunal, Supreme Court of India had said that the national capital of India becomes a gas chamber. It becomes a gas chamber. And because of this particular thing, the article number 21 of the citizens get violated. Article number 21, which talks about the right to life, it contains the right to clean water, right to clean air. And as the Delhi becomes the gas chamber, the article number 21 of the citizens get violated. So therefore the Supreme Court had expressed the concern. Moreover guys, because of this particular thing, there is also the Commission for Air Quality Management that has also been constituted. Now the Commission for Air Quality Management, it is a body which will bring the cooperation between the multiple states as how the pollution problem can be tamed. First of all guys, when we talk about the pollution problem in the North India, it is because of the multiple factors. There are the geographical factors, and then there are the basically developmental factors, there are the anthropogenic factors. Anthropogenic, that is man-made factors. What are the geographical factors? Actually guys, around the month of the October and November, the wind movement is very slow. Very feeble winds are there. So therefore, when the pollution is there, that pollution is not being dispersed. Okay, so the pollution stays there. Moreover guys, this is the time when the temperature starts to reduce. And therefore what happens, basically the land, it becomes cold, wind becomes heavy, and when the wind is heavy, wind rests at the ground. So the polluted wind, it rests around the ground, and that particular wind is not able to spread because the movement of the wind is not there. Okay, so that is the issue. Okay, and at the same time, this is the time when the stubble burning starts in the states of the Punjab, Haryana and Western Uttar Pradesh. Now the paddy that was grown earlier, that paddy is now to be harvested, and after harvesting the paddy, the farmers have to sow the wheat. Okay, actually the time window between harvesting the paddy and sowing the wheat, this particular time window is very much short. Okay, and therefore many of the farmers, what they do, they simply burn the stubble, and that particular stubble burning, it creates the pollution problem. Secondly, the vehicle emissions are there, and this is also the time when that festival of Diwali is also there. Okay, so all these particular factors combined together and the pollution problem comes there. Now guys, there are some of the data that I want to give you here to substitute this particular kind of an answer, and this particular data has been taken from the Commission of Air Quality Management. Now the data, please listen it very carefully. So basically guys, it's being provided that every year around 27 million ton of paddy straw is generated in Punjab and Haryana. Okay, and out of this particular 75% or 20 million is from non-basmati rice. Now you see this particular thing. Now non-basmati rice, there is one problem. Dekho, see this particular thing, this paddy, okay, this straw, the straw can be used as an animal fodder. Animal can eat that. But actually, when we talk about non-basmati rice, okay, non-basmati rice, it cannot be fed to cattle. Why? Because of its high silica content. Now, high silica content, it cannot be given to the animals. So therefore, what is the solution? Solution is that the farmers simply burn the 75% of paddy straw that is there. Now guys, around out of that 11 million tons can be managed into the fields, but the rest is usually burnt, which leads to the air pollution crisis. Fine. Now in order to deal with this particular challenge, what has happened? The Union Environment Ministry has come out with a new scheme. Union Environment Ministry has come out with a new scheme where 50 crore rupees will be given as an incentive to the industrialists and entrepreneurs to set up the paddy straw pelletization and torrefaction plants. Okay, just a minute. Paddy straw pelletization and torrefaction plants. For them, the 50 crore rupee support will be provided. Now, what is this paddy straw pelletization and what is the paddy straw torrefaction? Okay, so basically guys, just a minute, I'll show you one thing here, just a minute. Okay, yes. Okay, so guys, here you can see, just a minute. Okay, so here you can see basically these are the biomass pellets. Okay, so here you can see these are actually the biomass pellets. Now, what are the biomass pellets? Basically the straw can be converted in this particular kind of a pellet, and these pellets, what can be done? They can be used into the coal fired power plants and they can be used for heating, for generating the electricity. Now you see this thing that today we are using the coal. Today we are using the coal into the power plants, and much of the coal sometimes is imported also. So basically reliance onto the coal can be reduced if we mix such kind of a biomass pellets into the coal fired power plants. So this is the process where the straw, the paddy husk can be converted in such kind of a pellets, and these pellets can be used into the coal fired power plants. Now guys, there is one more process, there is one more thing that comes, that is the torrefaction. Okay, just a minute. Okay, so there is one more process, that is the torrefaction. Now, what is the torrefaction? Simply you add one more stage. So first of all, for example, you have converted these paddy straws in the pellets. Then we will heat these particular pellets. We will bake these particular pellets, and then what will happen? The moisture content into these pellets, it will go down, and when the moisture content goes down, it will further be producing heat. The calorific value will enhance, it will burn without leading to a lot of smoke and all such kind of things. So the moisture content is reduced by the process of the torrefaction. So now the plants or the machineries will be installed for making these pellets as well as the torrefaction pellets. Okay, so for this particular thing, 50 crore rupees of incentive scheme has been launched by the government. Now government has provided this thing that the paddy straws which are made into the pellets or which are torrefied can be mixed with the coal in the thermal power plants. It will save the coal as well as reduce the carbon emission that would otherwise have been emitted where the straws burnt into the fields. Okay, now basically guys, if I want to tell you one more addition, this is one article that we have discussed a few days back. Actually, there is already a Government of India's initiative where there is a mandatory compliance of 5%. It has been provided that whatever the coal fire power plants are there, 5% biomass is needed to be mixed with that. Okay, and the plants which are not actually mixing the 5% of basically where the 5% biomass is not being met, there the coal will not be provided to those kind of plants. So this is something which has already been provided. Now guys, it's being provided by the power ministry. It was provided by the power ministry that the thermal power plants have to ensure 5% of compliance by October 2022. According to the power ministry, according to the power ministry, biomass pellets have same calorific value as coal, and mixing them with coal save consumption as well as it cuts the emission. Now by 2070 we have to anyhow cut the emission, so in this particular direction it will help. So, moreover, it can also become as a source of additional income. It can also become the source of additional income, okay, for the farmers. Because basically guys, you see this thing that according to the Ashok Dulwai committee, we have to double the farmers income. Now the doubling the farmers income was to be achieved by 2022. Now this particular target has been increased to the 2024. So by 2024 we have to double the farmers income. So they are to be given such kind of initiatives, such kind of way outs where they can earn additional money, and therefore these paddy husk can be sold to such entrepreneurs. These entrepreneurs will convert them in pellets, and then these pellets can be provided to the coal power plants, and all the process will be eased out. So this is a guys very good important scheme, okay. And actually when you are talking about the pollution problem, you need to put such kind of an examples. They will enhance the quality of your answers. So that is all guys about this particular article, a very good article, and please add it in your notes. Now we'll move to the next article. ISRO's own next generation launch vehicle may assume the PSLV's role. ISRO proposes a dedicated satellite for supporting the agriculture sector. So these are the two of the articles that had come, which are talking about the ISRO and the developments carried by the ISRO. This will see with respect to GS paper number 3. This article will see with respect to the GS paper number 3, science and technology. Okay. Now let's start with that. First of all, first development is with respect to the PSLV, that is the Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle. Okay. Now the Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle will be replaced by the new that is the NGLV, that is the Next Generation Launch Vehicle. Fine. Let's discuss this article. Now first of all guys, when we talk about the PSLV, Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle, this is the third generation launch vehicle which has been indigenously developed. It has been developed and designed by the ISRO, and the Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle has been one of the most successful launch vehicles in the entire world. Post 1994, when this launch vehicle was used by the ISRO, okay, it has become a versatile workhorse. Versatile workhorse means that the versatile operations, versatile different types of payloads, different satellites serving the different purposes have been launched by the help of the Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle. Now, when we talk about the Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle, it is actually a 4-stage launch vehicle, and it is the first Indian rocket to be equipped with the liquid stages. Okay, so liquid stages, liquid fuel is used in this particular vehicle. Now, what are the 4 stages? Okay, so you can guys actually, first of all, you can see the picture of the Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle. Fine. Now, first of all, here the satellite or the payload that has to be installed into the orbit, they will be placed. Is it clear? So this is the portion where the payload or the satellites will be placed. Then guys, first of all, we have the stage number 4. Okay, so stage 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so first at the base there will be the stage number 1, then there will be stage 2, stage 3, stage 4. Okay, so first of all guys, there is the stage number 1. Okay, then after that there will be the stage number 2, then the third there will be the stage number 3, and finally there will be the stage number 4. Now what are these stages? Let's discuss them. So stage 1, 2, 3, 4, and then there will be the payload. This is the structure of the PSLV, Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle. Now when we talk about the uppermost stage, now uppermost stage will not be the first stage, it will be the 4th stage. So the uppermost stage, that is the 4th stage, it comprises 2 earth storable liquid engines. Okay, so the earth storable liquid engines will be there, which will provide the thrust. Then the 3rd stage, it is a solid rocket motor that provides the upper stage high thrust. Okay, so it is a solid rocket motor. So once basically the rocket has left the atmosphere, so into the upper parts it will provide the thrust. Then the 2nd stage, okay, the 2nd stage, it will have the earth storable liquid rocket engine. This is called as the Vikas engine. And then 4th, there will be the strap-on boosters. Okay, so there will be the multiple strap-on boosters that will provide the the initial thrust. It will provide the initial thrust. So when the rocket is leaving the ground, so that initial thrust will be provided by these strap-on boosters. Now guys, understand this particular thing, that actually basically a launch vehicle, it is a device which is placing a satellite in an orbit, and to place that satellite into an orbit, the vehicle or the rocket need to leave the earth, it need to evade the gravity, so it needs a lot of thrust, and these different stages will provide the thrust at the different points. Okay, now when we talk about the ISRO, this PSLV has done so many of the successful launches. More than 50 launches have already been done by this PSLV. Now the ISRO says that we need to retire the PSLV and we need to come out with the next state of the art launch vehicle, and the ISRO therefore is saying that now we are developing the next generation launch vehicle, that is the NGLV. Now this NGLV, this new generation launch vehicle, will replace the operational PSLV right now. Okay, why? First of all, they need to replace it. Basically guys, that when we talk about the lift capacity of the PSLV, okay, now it needs to be enhanced. Right now the lift capacity of the PSLV is approximately 1.9 ton, and now it is to be enhanced to at least 10 ton. So therefore we need to design a new state of the art launch vehicle, and this new launch vehicle will be called as the next generation launch vehicle. It will replace the PSLV, and therefore it will be a heavy lift vehicle. Moreover, the NGLV, it is guys also it is going to be a reusable vehicle. Okay, now NGLV, it is a cost efficient, it will be 3 stage. Okay, so right now we are having the four stage vehicle, so it will be a cost efficient 3 stage. Now obviously when there are the 3 stages, the cost will come down, it will be reusable. Okay, so therefore again the cost will come down, and it will have a capacity of 10 tons, and it can reach 10 tons to reach to the geostationary transfer orbit. Okay, now this particular NGLV will have a semi-cryogenic propulsion system for the booster stages. Okay, semi-cryogenic. Then the potential uses of this NGLV, it will be used for launching the communication satellite, deep space missions, okay, future human space flight. If you remember guys, the Gaganyaan already we are planning, and the cargo missions. Okay, see, basically, for example, now let's say there is an international space station. Now international space station, a lot of equipments are to be transported there. Okay, let's say India also develops in the future a kind of a international space station, or let's say there are the permanent missions, let's say, that are to be started at some of the planet, let's say Mars. So for the cargo missions also, let's say into the international space station, some of the cargoes are to be provided. So in those cargo missions it will be helping. Okay, in those cargo missions it will be helping. Then the Indian Space Research Organization, it has proposed the second development. Now guys, this is the second article. The second article says that the ISRO, it has proposed the dedicated satellites for supporting the country's agriculture sector. Okay, now basically when we talk about the agriculture sector guys, you see this thing, that the crops, they don't grow overnight. It will not be the case that you have sowed a crop yesterday and tomorrow the crop will grow. Crop grows over the months and months. Now over the months they are needed to be tracked, so that we can predict that what is the yield of the crop, or what will be the agriculture yields and all such kind of a thing. So therefore to monitor the agriculture sector, we need to have a dedicated satellites which are dedicated to the agriculture sector, and therefore according to ISRO, minimum of 2 satellites will be needed, which can guarantee the adequate coverage of the entire agriculture sector in the country. It will assist in many things. For example, farm related activities related to the crop forecasting, pesticide application, irrigation, soil data. Okay, for example, when we talk about guys the soil, okay, we need to know the fertility of the soil, we need to have the data about the soil, all such kind of things. Generation of critical data related to drought. Okay, so all this particular data about the agriculture sector can be provided by the dedicated satellites. Now this particular satellite will be owned by the Department of Agriculture, and the technical assistance will be provided by the ISRO. Fine. Now the ISRO chairman has also provided that a dedicated body, that is Earth Observation Council. Earth Observation Council is also to be established. Okay, it will address the deficiencies in Earth observation capabilities. So right now, as I told you, that we are not able to have the complete oversight onto the agriculture sector. So for having an observation onto the agriculture sector, okay, and whatever deficiencies are there, it will be addressed by this Earth Observation Council. Fine. Now the article says that current deficiencies include a discontinuity in Earth observation missions, okay, low utilization of available remote sensing data. Okay, there are the remote sensing data which have given some very crucial insights which can be used for the agriculture sector, but they have not been used. Then there are the technology gaps, absence of streamlined mechanism for data processing, dissemination, okay, of information. So information, how to make it usable for the industry, all these particular things will be done, and the Earth Observation Council will be specifically helping in this particular direction. So that is all, guys, about this particular article. I hope that you have understood it, and now we'll move to the next article. Okay. Now, this particular article, it talks about a recent report that has been released, which talks about how MG Narega has helped the agricultural laborers, rural laborers in the times of the pandemic. And therefore, this particular article will be important for GS paper number 2, social justice, or the government schemes for the welfare of the vulnerable sections, Now, first of all, I want to tell you this thing, that the MG Narega has been appreciated by many of the global bodies for the role that it has played in the COVID-19 pandemic. Now you see this thing, with the coming of the COVID-19 pandemic, what happened? The reverse migration started in India. Just actually one more additional point I want to give you here. Basically, see this thing, COVID-19 pandemic started as a health crisis. Okay, then it got converted in economic crisis. When the lockdown was announced, and finally it got culminated in existential crisis. When existential crisis? Because, guys, initially it was thought that after few days of lockdown, or after few days of the stringent controls, the COVID-19 will come under control. But what happened? First wave of COVID-19, successive the lockdowns got extended, and then the people became disappointed, people became very sad, people became basically many of them lost hopes. Fine. So therefore, it became an existential crisis. So COVID-19 started as a health crisis, got converted in economic crisis, and then it finally also got transitioned in existential crisis. Now this is the stage. Now you see, when the first lockdown was announced, okay, everybody, the people working in the informal sector, people working as migrant workers in the big cities, urban cities, they knew that they will not have any, they will not be having any social support, they will not be having the state support. While they will not have the social support, you see this thing, the National Food Security Act of 2013 promises the subsidized food grains. So promises the subsidized food grains to 66% people of country, and many of these migrant people, they can get the subsidized food grain, but you need to have a ration card. So abhi you see, many of the migrant coming from X state to the another state, so the ration card that they are having is of their home state. Now the home state ration cards are not acceptable in the other states, so they knew that they did not even be having the food support. So what is best for them? To go back to their villages, and the reverse migration started in 2020. And when obviously they are going back to their villages, how they will find the work? They are not from the middle classes, or they are not from the rich classes, they don't have the savings. How will they get the employment when they reach back to their rural areas? And here the MG Narega scheme came in between, and MG Narega scheme helped these people. And therefore, to track this particular, to track the impact of the MG Narega, there is a study that has been conducted. That is, the name of the report is Employment Guarantee During COVID-19, the role of MG Narega in the year after the 2020 lockdown. Who has conducted this particular study? This particular study has been conducted by the Center for Sustainable Employment, fine, Azim Premji University, collaborative research and dissemination called Samaj Pragati Sahyog and Narega Consortium. Okay, so all of these bodies have committed this particular study, and they have aimed to determine the extent to which working in the program provided income support. Now what are the findings? According to this particular report, the wages earned under the Act helped compensate between 20% to 80% of the income loss incurred because of the lockdown. So 20% to 80% of income loss was made by the MG Narega wages, and it is a very big economic and substantial financial support to the agriculture sector. Okay, the report says this particular thing, that 39% of the job card holding households who interested in working the MG Narega did not got a single day of work. So this is a disheartening, this is a negative side of this particular thing. So 39% of job card holding households did not got employment. Why this happened? Because guys, there was the funding limitation under the MG Narega. Though the funding of the MG Narega got extended also, but still 39% of households did not got the support. Is it clear or not? Fine. So these are the important findings of this particular report. Fine. Now the team had surveyed 8 blocks in 4 states: Bihar, Karnataka, Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh. Okay, that is something that has happened. Now that is not something which you need to see. Okay, so this is the most important finding. Now guys, when we talk about these reports, etc., you don't need to go too much in the detail in that. Okay, just you need to have some of the references and you need to have the name of the report so that you can use it in your answers to substantiate your points, Understand this thing. I have told you many number of times that if you are talking about social justice program, if you are talking about any issue, you have to complement your questions with the data, and that particular data from where it will be coming. That particular data will be coming from such kind of a reports. And whenever you are writing the data, always please mention the source in the name of the report. Otherwise, that data will not mean anything. So that is all about this particular article. Now let's move to the next one. The democratization of India, the Mandal way. The democratization of India, Mandal way. Now this article will see with respect to the GS paper number 2. Indian politics. Okay, Indian politics. Now you see this particular thing, guys. One thing I want to tell you. When we talk about the Indian politics, you don't need to study the issue that what BJP is doing, what Congress is doing, okay, what Rahul Gandhi had said, or what another member of a political party had said. No, that is not at all important for your exam. But the academic issues develop it. For example, tracing the Indian political development, that is something. So academic issues, academic themes are important. Now this particular article is talking about how the backwardness, basically the backward people have been provided the social justice by the Mandal Commission and in the aftermath of that. Okay, so that is something that we need to study, and on that even the questions come in GS paper number 1 and GS paper number 2. Okay, now, okay, let's start. So basically guys, when we talk about India, you know this particular thing, that because of the caste hierarchy in India, because of the Varna Vyavastha in India, the people belonging to the low caste, okay, they have not been provided the opportunities on par with the opportunities that got availed by the upper caste people. So the upper caste people had dominated. At the societal level, fine, in the history. However, in 1960s, a new assertiveness has came by the silenced majority. Now, what is the meaning of this silenced majority? Basically, there have been the multiple reports which say that in India, actually the population of the backward people, it is far more higher than the people of the upward classes. So this backward class is actually the majority, but this backward class has never raised their issues, have never raised the social injustices that is happening on them. Now 1960 onwards, they raised their issues, their grievances, and therefore this is actually a kind of something big thing that happened. Okay, now guys, there is actually, now this, they were also already called as a earlier they were called as a silenced majority. Now when we talk about the socio-political movement in India, the Mandal, it is also called as the Mandal Movement, and Mandal Commission has played a very important role in that. Okay, basically it has been provided that after the coming of the Mandal Commission, what happened, the backward classes, they got a kind of a voice. The backward classes got the social justice, they got the reservation for them, and the Mandal Commission actually brought a silent revolution. India's silent revolution was brought after the coming of the Mandal Commission. Who says this thing? It is said by the scholar Christophe Jeffrellet. Now let's talk about this particular article. Actually, in the past, before the independence also, there have been many of the leaders who have raised the issues of the poor, downtrodden and backward sections of Indian society. You have the example of Jyotiba Phule, There is example of Jyotiba Phule, Savitribai Phule, Sahuji Maharaj, Periyar. All of them had talked about the concerns of the backward sections of society. We have the example of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, who came in the national scene, particularly into the late 1920s and 1930s, and he became the champion of the social justice of the backward people. Now, basically, when we talk about the backward and socially deprived people, we have the depressed classes, Dalits. Then there are the tribals, who are the Adivasis. Now, the depressed classes, the Dalits, they were given the status of the scheduled caste, and the Adivasis, the tribals, they were given the status of the scheduled tribes. Okay, that is something that happened. Okay, and right after 1950, the scheduled caste and scheduled tribe, in order to remove their historical injustice, they were given the benefit of reservation. So reservation came to them after 1950. Actually, Constitution Order of 1950 directly provided the reservation to the scheduled caste. Fine. Now, but what about the OBCs? What about the other backward class? They did not got any benefit just after the independence. Basically, it has been provided that the benefit of reservation in education and employment, was adopted, but the backward classes, they were never gotten basically benefit. Actually, the backward class, their presence in bureaucracy, judiciary, academia, media always have been very much less. Actually, who are the backward classes? Guys, understand one thing very, very clearly. Scheduled caste people are the people who were treated with untouchability. They are the people who were treated with untouchability. Historical injustices happened with them. Scheduled tribe are the Adivasis who lived into the forest, so they were always isolated. Other backward classes, these are those people on whom neither Britishers focused, and even they did not got the benefit of development even after the independence. So there are some of the caste which became the backward classes. Okay. Now, it's being provided that actually post-independence, even the Nehruvian socialism lost its sheen. The policy and governance remained in the grips of the cherry-picked Brahminical minds. Okay, so backward class, they did not got the benefit. Now, article number 340 played a very important role as this thing was happening. What role was played by Article 340? Article 340 provided that government needs to constitute commissions, government need to carry the systemic study about the backwardness of the people, and by the mandate that was put onto by the article number 340, the first backward class commission, the Kalilkal commission, was constituted in 1953-55, and then second was the Mandal commission that was constituted in 1979. Now, the Mandal Commission of 1979 suggested 27% reservation for the other backward classes into the central services, and though it suggested it in 1980, actual reservation was given in 1990. So post 1990, what had happened? The OBCs really got the social justice after 27% reservation was given to them, was suggested for them by the Mandal Commission. Okay, apart from that, 73rd and 74th amendment had also played an important role, because it talked about providing the reservation for scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, and there is even possibility, if the state wants, that the OBC reservation can also be given. So this is something that has happened in the past. Now, basically it is being provided, guys, that actually the real test of secularism and social democracy, it has hinged on mutual coexistence of communities. Understand this particular thing. Basically, guys, when we talk about the Indian Constitution, specifically in the Indian Constitution, the fraternity has been mentioned in the preamble. The Constitution talks about that we need to focus on development, welfare, but we did not see the people just what religion they follow. So on the basis of religion, a person's desirability, a person's justice should not be carried. Everybody should be given the justice. Now, Mandal Commission has played a very important role, and this is a very, very good point. Actually, guys, it's provided that Mandal Commission has identified the socially and educationally backward classes and communities by not letting religion become a barrier. Okay, now many a number of times it is said that actually inequality, untouchability existed in Hindu religion. Okay, so therefore many times the benefit for reservation is also extended to the Hindu communities only. Now, Mandal Commission, when it gave the definition of the other backward classes, it identified that OBCs can be from other religions also. The Muslims, Christians, okay, or particularly, sorry, the Muslims, they can also be the backward. Indian Muslims are, it was said that Indian Muslims are not a kind of a homogeneous monolith. Within the Indian Muslims also, there are the backward people. So according to them, according to the Mandal Commission, again I am repeating and I am giving a clarity also. Mandal Commission not specifically restricted to Hindus, it said that even in the Muslim communities there can be the backward people. Okay, then guys, actually there is the Pasmand movement also that had started. Pasmand means backwardness. Okay, so Muslims also demanded the democratization, their representation, and Mandal Commission recommended that basically the Muslims, okay, they can be backward, particularly the people from Hinduism who got converted in Muslims, Islam who got converted in Christianity, still they are doing the caste based occupation, so still they are backward. So them also the reservation is to be divided. Okay, so this is something that guys actually has happened, and the Mandal Commission has played a very important role. Some of the political parties, the Mandalite political parties actually try to take the political advantage of that also. Now what are the Mandalite political parties? Some of the political parties fight the elections onto the politics of backwardness. Is it clear or not? Some of the political parties, they claim that they are the representative of the backward people. So the political parties running the politics of backwardness, what they have done, many a time they have not understood really the issues, the problems, the troubles of the backward classes. They have just tried to reap the political advantage for them. So now they should also be working for the social justice for them. So that is all guys about this article, and now we'll move to the next article. Okay, now this particular article, the falling reserves and the bogey of the RBI's role. Falling reserves and the bogey of the RBI's roles. Now this particular article guys we'll see briefly with respect to the GS paper number 3. GS paper number 3, fine. Issues related to the foreign exchange. Now basically guys, the article is just making a very brief point that you need to see. Okay, see this thing. In the past, we have seen multiple articles that talks about that how the rupee is falling. Now, as the rupee is falling, Reserve Bank of India has played an important role in between. That I'll explain you first, and then we'll move to the article. Basically guys, what is happening? Now, when we talk about the rupee's value depends on the demand and supply factor. If the demand for rupee will be there, rupee will appreciate. However, if demand of rupee is not there, the rupee will depreciate. Okay, rupee will depreciate. Okay, I'll give you one example. Right now guys, what is happening? The foreign portfolio investors that came in India in 2020, these investors are going back to their country. They are dumping the Indian equity, Indian shares, Indian stocks, and they are going back. Now when they are dumping their Indian securities, what happened? Obviously they cannot take the rupee back to their country. They will give the rupee, and in place of rupee they will demand the dollar. Now what is happening here? Everybody is giving the rupee and everybody is demanding the dollar. So dollar's price have increased. Is it clear or not? Now guys, basically you see this thing, whenever the demand of a particular commodity will increase and if there is no supply, the price will go way up. Now, when the foreign portfolio investors are going back and they are demanding the dollar, if their demand is there and dollar will not be there into the market, dollar will go at 100, 150 marks even, that can be a possibility. So, Reserve Bank of India from time to time has to make sure that the dollars should be available. Now, how the Reserve Bank of India will make sure that dollars are available? Reserve Bank of India maintains their foreign exchange reserve. In that foreign exchange reserve, Reserve Bank of India has a cache of dollars. So the Reserve Bank of India will remove the dollar from their chest and will provide the dollar into the market so that the dollar's availability is there, okay, and the price of dollars don't go out of hand. Now, what has happened? There are the many of the articles that have come in the past and they have criticized that actually RBI has depleted the India's foreign exchange reserves. RBI has depleted the India's foreign exchange reserves to defend the rupee. Now, the article says that this particular argument is misplaced. This argument is incomplete. Now, the article says that first of all, when we talk about the Reserve Bank of India, it is the custodian of India's forex reserve and it is responsible for managing this particular resource economically and very efficiently. Now, the article is talking about that, see, when we talk about the India, basically only licensed banks and the Reserve Bank of India, they have the authority, okay, they have authority that they can manage the forex or they can enter the forex market. Now the RBI Act 1934 stipulates that central government will order the rate at which RBI shall buy or sell forex to the banks or the person. Okay, so RBI, the central government will notify that this price is to be maintained, and that is something that the RBI follows. Now you see this particular thing, it's being provided that actually how this particular entire mechanism will work. Suppose there is a person, this particular person has imported something, let's say this person has imported the oil, okay, or this person has imported some electronic equipments. Obviously the payment is to be made to this particular importer. Now this particular payment is, let's say, to be made into the dollars. Now in India it is being provided that, just a minute, okay, in India it has been provided that an importer holding an import license can remit funds abroad as a matter of right. Okay, so anyone who is holding an import license, he can remit the funds overseas. And how he will remit the fund? First of all, he need to have dollar. How he will get the dollar? By giving the rupee and by converting that rupee into the dollar. So when the importers are there, they have a right that they can remit the funds, and as a matter of right, they can ask the forex reserves from the Reserve Bank of India. So guys, even if the RBI have, now who will provide the forex to him? Obviously only banks and the Reserve Bank of India are the players who can come in the market. So this importer, okay, so this importer, just a minute, this importer who had imported some good, he has to provide the money. So he'll approach to the Reserve Bank of India. Then also the Reserve Bank of India, what the Reserve Bank of India will do? Reserve Bank of India will take the money out of their forex chest, will give that particular dollar to this particular importer, and this importer will transmit that particular thing. Then also the Reserve Bank of India's forex came down. So Reserve Bank of India's forex will depend on multiple activities, and it will be wrong to say this thing that the Reserve Bank of India had depleted the forex reserves just to defend the rupee. Reserve Bank of India had to give the foreign exchange for multiple reasons. So the article is saying that RBI's intervention cannot deplete the forex reserves. Instead, the cause of forex reserve deplete is unimaginative import-export policy of the Ministry of Commerce. So what has happened? The Ministry of Commerce, the export and import policy is basically misplaced. They need to have such kind of safeguards into the EXIM policy that we import less and we export more. Guys, understand this particular thing, that whenever we export, we get dollar, we get foreign reserve. That foreign reserve is given to RBI. RBI puts it in their forex reserves. So actually exports and imports are something which will play the most important role in stabilizing the economy, in stabilizing the forex reserves of the central bank. So the rupee fall, okay, rupee fall, okay, it is something that is to be tackled with the import and export dimension also. That is all about this article, and now we'll move to the next article. Does India need a population policy? Does India need a population policy? Okay, so this particular article, guys, we'll see with respect to the GS paper number 1, issues related to population and related issues. Directly it is mentioned in your syllabus. Okay, directly it is mentioned in your syllabus. Now basically, guys, if you remember, we have discussed this particular article also in much detail. We have discussed the World Population Prospect Report 2022, and in this World Population Prospect Report 2022, the United Nations has provided that India would surpass China as the world's most populous country by 2023. So by 2023, India will be the most populous country in the world. Now, when we talk about India being the most populous country, there is an inherent advantage for India that we all the time say that India is having the young population also, and this young population will provide the economic advantage to India because this young population will participate in economic activity. We call this benefit that India will achieve as the demographic dividend. What is demographic dividend? Dividend means profit. Demography means related to population. So demographic dividend means the benefit, the economic advantage that a country will get because of the favorable population, working population. Now, according to 2018-19 economic survey, India's demographic dividend will peak at 2041. Okay, and at that time share of the working age population will be around 59%. So in 2041 working people will be 59%, and this is the peak where India will reach. So obviously guys, before 2040 we need to leverage our working age population by a very clear logic. Now in the past there have been many of the debates where it said that actually India need to have a population policy, India need to have a population control. Fine, and this particular thing is just said because we are going to be the populous country. Do really we need a population policy? Do really we need to have a population control? That is something we'll discuss in this particular article. Now according to the demographic experts, it has been said that there is a need to move from family planning to family welfare approach. Okay, in the family planning where we are just concerned about reducing the number of births, we need to go for a family welfare approach, which is a more holistic kind of an approach. Rather than just reducing the total fertility rate, focus on empowering the men so that they can understand the value of having less number of children. Okay, empower men, empower women, so that they can make the informed choices about their fertility, about their health, and about their well-being. Now guys, as we are talking, the fertility are dropping around the world and the lifespans are rising. Okay, now if I tell you guys, even in India, latest National Family Health Survey 5 was released, and as per the latest National Family Health Survey 5 report, the total fertility rate in India, it has reached to 2.0. Guys, replacement rate is 2.1. It means if a fertility rate of a country will reach at 2.1, then a population will stabilize. If the total fertility rate will be more than 2.1, population will increase. Less than 2.1, population will reduce. Our total fertility rate right now is 2.0. It simply means that India's population is actually already declining. Right now, in the entire world, the fertilities are declining. Even in India, fertility is declining, less than 2.1. Okay, and the people's lifespan are increasing. What it is leading to? It is leading to aging population, graying population. The proportion of the old people is increasing in the world. Now it's provided that can increasing automation counteract the negative effects of an aging population, or will an aging population inevitably end up causing slowdown in economic growth? Now you see this thing, automation is coming, artificial intelligence is coming, so will the graying population can be used there, or if we have the graying population, will it impact the economic growth? Because obviously gray population, they cannot work in physically demanding tasks. Okay, there is one reference that has been given according to the Thomas Malthus. Now Thomas Malthus was a demographic thinker. He said that as the population will grow, productivity will not be able to keep pace with the growth. Okay, population will grow, agriculture will not be able to keep pace with it. There will be the famines, higher mortality that will come. Now luckily Malthus has been wrong. Fine, it's not the case that as population will increase, the economic development will suffer. That has been proved wrong. Article is saying today skills are important, okay, but economic planning also is important, because it will only show the good jobs, agriculture, productivity, and all such kind of a things. Now what the article is talking about, article is simply saying this thing, that population are changing. India will have a large population, and at the same time India will also have old population. Not only India, the world will have old population. So we need to figure out that how this particular population will be used effectively. We need to have skills, we need to have planning for such kind of a thing. Now the article says that actually whenever we talk about the population control, one lesson can be taken from the China. Now China always tried to manage their population by public policy. What they did, for example, China came out with the one child policy in 1990s. Then they changed their one child policy to the two child policy after 2015. But whenever the China has tried to control their population by the policies, for example, by bringing one child policy, by two child policy, it has brought some unexpected consequences. Today we see there is a sharp reduction into the population growth rate. People's preferences have turned such that people are not ready to have the families, and today, earlier the labor, that was the power of the China, it is now not the case. So in the China we find that people are now not preferring to have young child, so young population, working population is decreasing, and the elderly population is increasing. Okay, and now the China is relaxing these policies. Okay, China now has even come with a third child policy just last year. So China's example, we can find that these population controls are not very much effective. Okay, now the article says this particular thing, that we need to understand this particular population issue more holistically. Fine, India needs to, does India have process or the institutional capacity to tap into huge youth population. We have youth population, but can we tap into that youth population? Now see, we can learn from China about what not to do. Okay. Basically, guys, understand this particular thing, that when we talk about the institutional capacity to tap into the huge population, we mean we need to provide them education, we need to provide them skills, good health, good job opportunities, good employment opportunities, because only then they will be able to use their productivity. If we are not able to provide them employment, good skills, simply this demographic dividend will become a demographic disaster. So we need to invest substantially on their education, skill development by multiple schemes such as the Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan, okay, such as the Skill India Mission, Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana. Okay, see this particular thing, that actually when we talk about India, 12% of India's population by 2025 is also going to be the elderly population. By 2050, every fifth Indian will be the person above the 65 years of age. So India's population is becoming old, it is becoming grey. Fine. Therefore, there is a right now, there is a very kind of a brief window we need to tap upon. Even the people who are becoming young today, they'll become old tomorrow. So we need to tap on that. We need to address into the adolescent health. Fine. So we need to invest in our youth population. At the same time, we also need to identify the gender dimension in this particular matrix. Now you see this particular thing. Today when we talk about the young population, it is equally made up of men and women. But the women we are not focusing upon. Okay, we are not building their skill. We are not focusing on in bringing them into the labor force. Women labor force participation rate has been very much low. Guys, moreover, as we have the women, these women will also become old tomorrow. And when we talk about the aging happens to be a particularly gendered issue also. Understand this particular thing. Actually, guys, when we talk about the aging, people will become old tomorrow, but actually the women aging is a big issue, because 2/3 of the elderly people will be women. Guys, by the nature, women tend to live longer than the men. Women tend to live longer than the men. Isliye, when the old age is concerned, many of the old men will die, but the women will live. So there is a genderization of the elderliness also that is happening. So India need to have the policies intact that the young women as well as the old women, they are needed to be provided the adequate support. Fine, the opportunities are to be provided. Now India's fertility fell below 2.1 birth. I told you the total fertility rate right now is 2.0. Okay, earlier it was more, now it has reduced. Guys, today, guys, when we talk about the fertility that is falling, okay, in some of the states, fine, there is the youngest and the biggest population that is there. For example, the UP, Bihar, Madhya Pradesh. These are the states which have the high fertility. These are the states which have the young population. These are the states actually which will be the states where the future population will be living. So in these states such as UP, Bihar, MP, specifically we need to make the focus. Okay. Then the article talks about that, guys, there is a need of a policy that also supports the reproductive health for individuals. We need to change the discourse around the population policy. So rather than the population control, we need to focus on empowering the people. And the National Population Policy of 2000 actually focused on the population welfare. So population welfare is a need of an hour and not the population control. So that is all, guys, about this particular article. I hope that you have understood a very good article for population and related issues. Now we'll move to the next article. A quest for the ghost cat based on lore. Now this particular article, guys, it is just containing one line concept. Okay. Basically, guys, understand this particular thing, that when we talk about, now this particular article is talking about the snow leopard first of all. Okay. Now, guys, when we talk about the snow leopard, first of all, on the IUCN red list, okay, the snow leopard has been given the status of vulnerable. Okay, so this is something which you need to remember for your prelims examination, preliminary test. Now, when we talk about, guys, the snow leopard, okay, now snow leopard's habitat is being discussed. Okay, now there is the Namdapha National Park and Tiger Reserve. Okay, when we talk about the Namdapha National Park and Tiger Reserve, this particular region is very important because it hosts the three large cats. What three large cats it hosts? Okay, it hosts the tigers, leopard and the clouded leopard. Please remember, tiger, leopard and clouded leopard are all found in the Namdapha Tiger Reserve. But in the Namdapha Tiger Reserve, the snow leopard has not been found. Snow leopard has not been found. Now, the snow leopard is found in the parts of the Himalayas, but in eastern Himalayas, particularly into the Namdapha, fine, the snow leopard has not been found. But there is one issue that has come, that one of a tribal person, okay, in the Arunachal Pradesh, okay, around the border of Myanmar, actually around the border of Myanmar, had claimed that he had a skin of the snow leopard. He had actually hunted the snow leopard into the past, he had the skin. Then that person said that, okay, right now I don't have that skin because it got burnt in a house fire. But he said that he definitely had the skin of the snow leopard. Now their authorities are carrying a survey to find that whether really there was the snow leopard in the Namdapha Tiger Reserve, because as of now there are no traces of the snow leopard into the Namdapha National Park and Tiger Reserve. So they will do the survey here. So it has been said that the ghost cat is that, basically guys, when we talk about the snow leopard, fine, just a minute. When we talk about the snow leopard, it is called as a mountain ghost because of its coat that helps it blend in a snowy environment. So if a question is even there that which animal recently into the news is referred to as a ghost cat, the ghost cat, who will be it? It will be the snow leopard. So to study whether really the snow leopard is there, the surveys will be done. Okay, so that is something that has come in this particular direction. So that is all guys about it. Beyond that, not even a single line you need to read. This is the entire thing. Okay, so this is the entire thing in this particular article. And now we'll move to the mains practice question for today. So guys, the mains practice question for today, it says, according to the recent reports, India would surpass China as the world's most populous country by 2023. In this context, explain, does India possess the institutional capacity to tap into huge youth population? Or will an aging population turn out to be a liability in the absence of adequate institutional or state capacity? Now, if you guys see the questions that have been there in 2021, 2022, okay, or in the past few years, UPSC is asking very big kind of a questions. Okay, so on that particular line, this question is there. Now, this question will be important for GS paper number 1, population related issues, and it will be a 15 marker question. Okay, so that is all guys about it. I hope that you have understood it, and with this we come to an end to the today's newspaper analysis. Guys, I hope that you have liked the video. Okay, and if you have liked, you can please hit the like button, you can please leave your comments. Now we'll be meeting tomorrow. Till then, please take care of yourselves. Thank you so much.